So yeah, like I was saying, like we were breaking down words the other day, and we were talking about like okay, like government, say for example, like we were just saying that, but like I was just saying, I think we personally, I think we need if we're gonna have a government, we need some, I think we need some new managers. But the word government, yeah, govern means to control or to guide, yeah. And ment is short for mind, mental, which is obviously in relation to the mind. So all it is someone who controls or guides the mind of the people. And I think personally, we need, like I was saying, because we're talking about management tonight, we need some new managers. We need people to start. Well, a lot of people are waking up anyway, and a lot of people are doing shit. I know that, and trying to make a difference and doing lots of different things to help the cause. But at the same time, people need to be more vocal. We need to be more vocal, and obviously do it in a legal way, in a peaceful, legal, etc. way. Of course, we don't want anyone to get in trouble or anything like that. But we need to become more vocal and just let these people know that we've had enough of this system that's currently in place. We need to reevaluate everything and start again, start fresh. You know what I mean? Just come up with some new ideas. Some modern ideas. It's not all these old, antiquated forms and ways of doing things and ways of thinking. You know what I mean? It's time to. I know I said it before, but I say it again. It's time to change it up, to shake things up, you know. It's time to introduce new ways of thinking and get rid of this whole thing of Parliament and all this. It's just old school. We're living in the year 2023 now, and we have really advanced technologically and everything else, and we're really growing and evolving at an exponential rate, really, in terms of in technology and everything else. But when it comes to like our politics and our business, our ways of doing things on a global scale, it's just really outdated and antiquated. I think it's time to change it up.
I don't think it is though, because it's stuck in a funny way. It's all to do with inherency. People inherit their positions.
Yeah.
And their powers.
Yeah.
And like the government really, it's evolved like it is today. Do you know what I mean? And it's sort of like growing in power every century that's going by.
Yeah.
And that's why it's got to power today in a kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
And you think like every business, it doesn't matter what it is, all right, whether they're schools or whatever, out there, the government, they're all strings to the government in a funny way,
Yeah.
The top management basically is the government.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, whatever. And then you've got the king, of course, who's even, basically in charge of the king of Church of England. Basically, there's I think there's 27 bishops below him.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
and they've all got this position in the Church of England and all this,
in the hierarchy.
It's a very powerful thing, and it's not like anyone can knock them over now. Do you know what I mean? It's all officially sort of like, on paper they own it, whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's all, whatever. It's evolved like this, do you know what I mean? Slowly in time, But I find it bad management really, because it's, like it don't matter who you are down here, right? Trying to do your own business, trying to run your own family. At the end of the day, the government can do something, can shake everyone, and it's basically we got a manager over us all, do you know what I mean? And sometimes that manager might not be a very good manager. Sometimes it might be good, but whatever,
Yeah.
Sometimes the bad mistakes they make affect people.
Of course.
In a big way,
Yeah,
and that's the problem. You've got those people in Westminster.
Yeah.
You've got the public, and you've got the landlords.
Yeah.
In a kind of way, and you think about pubs, they've been in this country quite a number of years, quite a few centuries, It's kind of evolved all this, do you know what I mean? And if you want to become a top judge, you had to sort of go into a special pub and have a drink and all this to sort of get the badge to do that job, in the olden days,
Yeah.
and all this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
barrister,
Yeah.
you know, bar stuff, you know, it's all to do with all that kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all behind the bar and pubs and all this, you know.
Yeah.
It's,
Maritime
I say,
law.
alcohol's a very big business,
Mm.
you know, and a lot of people are happy sort of getting a lot of money out of it, you know.
It's just capitalism again.
Well, you
Yeah.
know, a lot of these people that run in the business don't even drink themselves, I bet, I guarantee you.
And it's like a lot of things too. You get a lot of these people that own, you know, these large, like you said, alcohol companies or pharmaceutical companies or whatever companies, and they don't, you know, tobacco companies or whatever the case may be, they don't even use their own products. You know, it's like even Steve Jobs from Apple. I remember him saying that he doesn't allow his children to use an iPhone or an iPad. If you see what I mean. You know, he was famous for saying that. You know, someone had asked him. You know, he actually said at one of his congresses that he doesn't allow his kids or his teenagers to use an iPhone or an iPad. But he quite happily, him and his company, obviously he's passed now, so rest in peace to him, rest in peace and our condolences to him and his family. You know, but he was famous for saying that, and so that just goes to show that people quite happily sell you a product to you and your family. You know, but they, you know, these people that even create it might not even want their own family using it. And it's the same way with kind of music today as well too. You see like a lot of artists will make a lot of like sexually provocative music, and it won't be censored or anything on YouTube. It's very accessible, or very, whatever you call it on YouTube, it's very accessible. You know, no restrictions on it, but they won't allow their own kids to listen to it or to, you know, to be a, you know, part of it. And that, you know, even that, you know, even though it might even be their own music, they'll try and shield it from their kids, but they'll quite happily, you know, let your, you know, allow you, you know, quite happy for your teenagers or your young kids to listen to it or whatever, you know. So what it all comes back to again is capitalism, you know. It's supply and demand. A lot of people, they don't care what the repercussions are as long as they're making money, you know. They know that they know there's repercussions, you know, there's consequences, you know. You know, the amount of money that alcohol-related things and tobacco-related things amount of money the National Health Service, let's say for example in this country alone, spends just trying to look after people who are suffering from alcohol-related diseases or health-related diseases because of alcohol or tobacco. And it might, you know, probably hundreds of millions a year across this whole country.
I think it shortens a lot of people's lifespan, that's for sure.
Well, that's intentional. That's intentional. That's the goal, you know.
You know, but you've got the other one as well, like road traffic accidents. You know, you get quite a few thousand of them a year. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and people sort of crash into windscreens or whatever, you know, and all kinds of things. You know. You know, they don't really say much about that lot, do they? Do you know what I mean? They don't really put that on the news, do you know what I mean?
They don't advertise it because obviously that's bad for business. It's bad for business. In any of those spectrums that we just talked about, in any of those chosen fields, it's bad for business, you know. The goal is to always, you know, they try to push their products and make money regardless of whatever health implications it might have or whatever the case may be. It's like, okay, look at all these companies that are being sued recently in the last 10, 20 years, even right now, in the last few years, a lot of companies. Like, if you can even, I won't say any of them on the podcast for obvious reasons, but you can look it up on Google. Look at all these lots of large different companies that are being sued for selling products that they knew had health implications and could potentially cause cancer or potentially cause other things that could be detrimental to your health, you know, in lots of different ways. But they continue to sell it happily because, you know what I mean, they realised that it was, you know, the public liked it and it's going like hotcakes, you know what I mean, it's flying off the shelves. So why would we record it and retract it when we're making hundreds of millions of pounds, if not billions of pounds, you know what I mean? Let's continue to sell it. Meanwhile, there's people that are consuming it and eating it or drinking it or whatever it may be, and getting, you know, over time, you know, it's short, like you said, shortening their lifespan, making them sick, you know, whatever, you know. So
how many, you know, like cars, yeah. At the end of the day, you know, I mean, personally, I think they're very dangerous. Okay.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Yeah.
You know, but I can see, you know, like the public love them.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? They're like, you know, it's a bit of a toy, really, isn't it? You know, sort of like whizzing, you know, at high speeds. You know, I can see the
the appeal.
I'd see the fun factor in it all. Do you know what I mean? You know, but at the end of the day, cars are dangerous. You know, and really sort of when you get in, start driving a car, you're straight away you're risking your own life and everyone else's life around you. Do you know what I mean? Straight away, it's a fact.
Yeah.
You know, but they don't. You know, like cigarettes, they say, oh, they're dangerous and they kill, so on and so on. And they don't really say much about drink. But they don't really say cars are dangerous either, do you know what I mean?
Right.
Do you know what I mean? They just say put a seatbelt on, that might save you.
It might save your life, yeah.
You know, might do.
Yeah.
You know, that, you know, more likely not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like you say, you don't wear a seatbelt when you get knocked over by a car, do you? When you're crossing the road. Or, you know, I mean, I've had a friend that's been cut in a cutway, you know, he's just walking through a cutway. And
His told me about that, awful.
Went through some gardens, you know, he had a fit, this guy, you know, and it basically paralysed him for life, this guy, you know, and he's only 16, you know. So, you know, you could be in the middle of nowhere and a car can run you over in a funny way, you know, or a tractor, or
something can happen,
or something big, you know.
Yeah.
I can't, you know, I mean, I know that apparently 700,000 birds die in traffic every year.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I don't know how many people die each year or get hurt.
Yeah.
Or lose their legs or broken legs, you know, God knows what, do you know what I mean? Because cars are dangerous. If they hit you, you know, well, you know, at 60 miles per hour, they're going to really hurt you. You know, you probably won't be alive, actually, do you know what I mean? In fact, if it's going that fast. You know, so, like I say, we live in a very dangerous world.
We live in a very dangerous world, yeah.
Seriously, you know, one like this, it wasn't a dangerous couple. It probably was a couple of hundred years ago, dangerous a little bit, because you had probably arrows going everywhere, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But so I think that the world's got a little bit more dangerous, really, you know.
Yeah.
Where everyone's allowed to drive. You know, I mean, I think really a sensible age is 25.
Yeah.
You know, when you become a little bit more grown up, a bit more responsible.
Yeah.
I think it's a shame, you know, when a 16-year-old gets in a car, you know, and they love it, the next minute they're dead.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and their life's gone.
Well, we've debated about this before, haven't we? And I think we're both kind of in agreement that you should have to be at least at a minimum 21. At least at a minimum, you know.
I say even being
even 21. You know what I mean? Just I don't want to, you know, I'm not trying to upset anyone out there, but like even 21, you think,
you see.
yeah, you are, but I think even then, like, is that still too young? You know, should we make people wait a few more years?
There'd be so many accidents. Do you know what I mean? If they did that, there would be so many accidents on the road. I don't think, you know, because when you're that age,
more sensible.
You really haven't. You know, I'm not being insulting, but you've got a long way to go before.
A lot of people haven't lived much life.
Only, you know, to me, a 16-year-old is part child, part man. Do you know what I mean? You know, and it's just not. Well, you know,
very early.
I'm not putting young people down, right? Because I'm saying they're very intelligent. You know, sometimes you get young people that are more intelligent than even old people.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
I just don't think they're ready to go on a dangerous road like they are, like racetracks and things, and risk their lives.
Yeah, not at 16. Not at 16. And a lot of times, sometimes because they're young too, and it's kind of like the thrill. You know what I mean? The thrill of having a car and like, you know, driving it fast, and there's that appeal there too, because they're young, and you know that's appealing to someone who's young and likes a bit of an adrenaline rush and that kind of thing. Likes to, you know.
You do get some sensible 16-year-olds.
But you also get sensible ones too as well.
You know, that are, you know, being quite, you know, but I think like to be sensible, right, and to make the roads a bit safer for everyone.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be until you're about 25, you know, really.
Yeah. Until
you're a bit more mature. You know, not only these 16-year-olds, they risk other people's lives, you know, because they come off the road and next minute they might, you know, knock an old couple off the road that are driving down the road, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very true.
You know, so I know this all happens, do you know what I mean, a lot, do you know what I mean? There's all kinds of things that go on, you know, I mean, I think a few months ago, this guy, you know, Nipper, he's only young, sort of like, just turning 18 or something. He picked up his girlfriend and his friends, whatever, so there's about 4 in the car, and then they sort of going along this sort of quite a fast road, sort of like a motorway, sort of almost, or whatever, going quite fast, and the roundabout come up. I don't think he saw that kind of thing, but he swerved off the roundabout, went in the woods, but they found him a week later. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
A
wow.
lot of them, they're all dead.
Oh wow.
A week later they found him. You know, they
Wow.
didn't let it come off the road. They were searching for it everywhere, but they didn't know where it went. You know, these tracks were sort of like, you know,
Yeah.
nobody saw them. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
It was just hidden in the trees or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and all kinds of things happen with that we don't really hear of.
Yeah.
If you sort of mean, you just got the ambulance people going around picking up
people.
the pieces.
Yeah, the pieces. Yeah.
If you sort of mean the dust with a duster and brush, you know, picking up glass, whatever. You know?
Yeah.
You know, but I think at the end of the day, you know, I think like this country would be a lot better if the government was a bit more responsible like that. Do you know what I mean? Being a bit more. Come on, that's a bit too early, you know, to drive a car. For goodness sake, that's going to cause, you know. Come on, let's have some common sense.
Well, it's kind of an accident. It's kind of an accident waiting to happen, you know. I think 21 at the earliest, you know. So I think, even though I agree 25 is a better age, I think that's maybe, you know, pushing it a little bit far, maybe. You know, I'm not sure. So I'd say maybe at minimum 21, like, you know.
Well, it'd take a lot of people off the road as well,
at
if you
least,
sort of mean. There won't be so many cars on the road.
Someone's working and more than likely working or at university or something and had a little bit more life experience and a few more years older and had a, you know, lived a little bit and a bit more sensible, you know.
That's right. You know, it goes the same.
A bit more common sense.
It goes the same with policing, I think. You know, a lot of policing, they're out in the streets when they're, you know, very young. Yeah. Girls and whatever, you know. And I think, hang on, they're immature here.
Yeah.
You know, and they're talking, you know, you needed a lot more. I think, you know, be honest with being a policeman, I think you should be 40, maybe, you know what I mean? Yeah. So we got mature policemen on the street.
Well, they wouldn't be able to catch anyone at 40 though, mate. A lot of these coppers here today, mate, that are 40 plus, mate, they can't catch anyone, mate.
What, scooters?
That's true today, yeah. But if they're chasing, if they actually have to chase someone on foot, a lot of coppers here in the UK that are 40 plus, they can't catch anyone. Because a lot of them like to go to the pub themselves and drink.
Well, 25, you know, but I think like they're too young. Police are too young.
Yeah, but I agree with what you're saying too, yeah. They should be of a certain age too, if you see what I mean. I think maybe like 27, you know? 25, 27.
27 and a half.
Yeah. Make it 28 then, for good measure. No,
you know, I think it's just, you know, talking about common sense here, you know, it'd make more common sense that we'd have
people who are,
a little bit more mature in life, you know, not just sort of on a training, sort of just left training, you know, and just left school, you know, and don't know a thing.
And now they've got left to police the streets, left to protect the bloody public and to do what they're supposed to do, even though I don't have any dealings with them personally. You know, like you said, it's a bit of a hazard, you know.
Well, often I see these sort of audits on YouTube and all that, you know, police audits, and often, you know, you get these young police officers and they really haven't got a clue, you know, what they're, you know, the laws or, you know, do you know what I mean? They're just not even streetwise or whatever. You know, it takes time. You know, and that's why I'm surprised that they're off the streets, you know, sort of doing a police job, such a difficult job.
At their age.
You know, it's a difficult job.
Yeah.
You know, and I know that there's some good police out there, you know, there are.
But again, that's bad management too.
Exactly.
You know, that's what I'm saying. Things need to be reevaluated. That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, and obviously, like I said, obviously everything that has to be done in a peaceful, legal way. Of course, you know, I don't want people to misconstrue what I'm saying and try to say that, you know, that I'm inciting people to, to do anything violent or anything like that, because, you know, that's, you know, we're not even that way inclined as people. So yeah, you know, but going back to management, like we were saying earlier, I think discipline is such a huge part of all, you know, all aspects of your life, essentially, you know. Being able to be in control of your life, you know, be in control of your you know, your physical, your mental, your spiritual, everything, you know, and to be on top of everything, to make sure you're looking after yourself physically, whether it be, you know, trying to make sure you get enough exercise and you're looking after your health, you know, with what you eat and what you drink and, you know, what you consume and all those kind of things. your mental, of course, you need to be looking after yourself mentally as well, making sure, making sure you're in a good place mentally, trying to be in a positive, positive mindset at all times, and making adjustments and reevaluations when you're not, and trying to find out as to why you're not, if that is the case, and working on it. Emotionally, you've got to learn how to be in control of your emotions and learn how to, emotional intelligence and all that kind of thing, and be in control of your emotions and your thoughts and how to act and etc. in regards to those things, and in other aspects of your life too, financially, you've got to be able to manage your finances, you've got to be on top of everything, you've got to make sure, of course, you want to make sure that your incomings are a lot higher than your outgoings, and make sure you're in control of your outgoings and everything's paid, and you're building up your credit and all this type of shit, because all these things are so important in today's society. It never used to be important, so a lot of us that are growing up today that are of a certain age don't really, a lot of people are understanding more about it today now, but why credit and all these kind of things are so important. So you've got to look after your finances, of course, too, and your businesses and everything else. And other things too, like, you've got to look after your psychological health, your sexual health, all these different things, as adult human beings, there's many different factors and fractions. That's why I used that word fractions earlier. Many different factors and different aspects of our lives that we have to kind of like maintain and require maintenance. We have to look after ourselves in all these different aspects, and spiritually too. I didn't mention spirituality, but spiritually too. You need to find something that works for you. Whatever it may be, whatever it is that you choose to subscribe to, or whatever it is that works for you, then you adhere to that, if you see what I mean, and do that, because we're multifaceted as human beings. There's many different components that make us up as a human being that need feeding and nurturing and growing, if you see what I mean, and by doing all these things, it contributes to all those different aspects, you have to look after all those aspects to be a well-rounded human being, that's very important. You want to be a well-rounded human being, someone who's